This business podcast, the Two Business Guys Mastermind, uncovers for you secrets and share tips and tricks to entrepreneurship as they mastermind on how to have startup, operational, and overall business success so that you can go on to get better results. Enjoy. In part 2 of what every entrepreneur should know before starting a business, the Two Business Guys Mastermind on the very things that you should know before getting going in your new venture. Enjoy.
Sounds good.
So, hey everybody, welcome back. Your boy Randy is a little bit under the weather, but the Two Business Guys are still going to mastermind. We're still going to make it happen because we wanted to do the part 2 to what we started last week. We were getting so excited and getting so into it, talking about what every entrepreneur should do before they start their businesses, right? And these are just some considerations. What is that thing that I can think about? How can I validate? And if you heard last week, we went down a list of probably 5 things. Now we're going to go ahead and finish up. So John is going to turn the tables a little bit and start quizzing me on these things, and I'm going to answer them. And I hope you guys have an opportunity to listen in and get your business where you want it to be.
Well,
Go ahead, John.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. We didn't intend for this to be a 2-part series, but it's a very exciting topic. So we're going to continue where we left off in our last episode. And so my question to Randy is, once you have started your business, once you're in the business, how do you create a buzz? How do you get people interested in what you're doing?
Yeah, so that's one of the considerations, right? You say, hey, look, I have the best technology. I've got, this business, this service that is unlike anybody else's. Well, when we talk about validating, a part of the validation process is asking those kinds of questions. Okay, your idea, can it stand up? Can it create some buzz? From what you say you have, can people get excited about it? So we start thinking about, well, what ways can I get it out there to start seeing if it could get some traction, right? Where people call you up and says, man, what is that? I got to have that. Because I'm sure when, if you think about it, when Steve Jobs rolled out the iPhone, people were like, what's this? We kind of know what phones were. I had one that was like really huge, right? One of those ones that was like a brick. And it was like, what's this little thing? This is going to fall out of my pocket. But with your business, what you're trying to do is a continual validation of your idea to see if you start that thing, can you now get people buying? And that's one of the big things. Can you get a sale? Now, this is what I strongly recommend is you put that thing out there, even if it's not totally 100% ready, and ask the question, hey, is this something that you could use? And if you get a whole bunch of folks that are raising their hands saying, yeah, I see the utility of that. Now you may have something, right? You have a continual validation of the ideas. So then you say, well, okay, all right, is this something that you can share? In other words, do people, because of the utility of what you're offering, service or product, say to themselves, I got to tell my friend about this, right? And of course, there's some hacks that you could do. When, Dropbox started, they were like, hey, listen, we'll give you extra. One of their hacks was, we'll give you extra Dropbox space if you send it to a friend. Right? Little things like that. So now you, with regard to your business, you're doing some of those same things. We just want to model everything, right? Something that has been successful. Can it create buzz? Can you say to people, hey, if you send it over to your friend, I'll give you extra whatever. And then they go, I want extra so-and-so. I want extra whatever it is. So yeah, heck yeah, I'll do that. Right? And then some people have just like did the ethical bribe, just basically giving money away. Hey, there's $1. Now, you've seen that happen, right? You real estate people send you $1 in the mail. I just got one the other day. I got $1 and the guy says, hey, call my company. This $1 is just representing blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? I was like, give me that $1, right? I didn't call the company, but that's because whatever he was offering wasn't enough for me to go and now tell my friends about it. with your business, you're always trying these little things. There's a ton of things you can do, whether you're dropping it on Instagram, and depending on when you hear this, Instagram might still be going, right? Can you tweet it out and then people start saying, hey, I want to tell my friend about this because
Mhm.
it has such utility. Doesn't even have to be ready. These are things you're doing before you start that business to see if, wait a minute, if I start this thing, I have enough people talking about it. I've created a groundswell. I've created some buzz. I've created a situation where people are going, I can't wait for this to come out because once it comes out, I want to share it with all my friends. It's that good. These are validation ideas, right? These are things that you should be doing before you really put a lot of money into the business. That's the key. All that money you put in becomes sunk cost because guess what? You put it in and nobody buys it, money's gone. But if you
Mhm.
do these continual validations, determine if you can get people to buy it, share it, and tell their friends about it. Now you may have something that when you put your price on it and when it comes out in a better form, now you got something that has just created a really huge groundswell of support and utility, and people are already using it and they're just waiting for more. That becomes the big idea.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's fantastic, Randy. I kind of did the same thing yesterday. I uh, I had a medical procedure yesterday morning done, and my wife and I left before 7 o'clock in the morning because we had to be
Mhm.
there early. And before we're leaving, she saw me opening up a pair of socks,
Mhm.
and she's like, "What are you doing? What? Why are you have these? Why are you getting a new pair of socks out?" And my thought was, I opened a pair of socks that were not open to the public. They were a custom pair
Mhm.
that I did for another medical institution.
Mhm.
And I thought, hey, I'm gonna have these socks on because the only thing I'm gonna have on is that little apron thing they
Oh
give
yeah,
you,
yeah.
and my socks. And
And you want them talking about the socks.
they did. Everyone who came in, doctors, nurses, those are cool socks. And yeah, and it led to that opportunity of explaining what I did and handing a couple cards out.
And that's the
So.
great thing about it, isn't it?
Hmm.
When you have a business that creates buzz. Now, again, we were talking about what you should do before you start, but that's just one of those ideas. You kind of have the concept. What did the cost of a sock? It wasn't a lot of cost. I bought the socks. I'm doing a procedure. I'm going to go and see if I can get some people talking. I'm going to bring my cards. That's what you're doing. These kind of things, I'm telling you, really set your business apart from everybody else's. You're committed, and you're committed in a way that you will do whatever it takes to get the necessary buzz behind your business. Now, of course, you could do some of the traditional things, right? You can go and talk with influencers. Can I send this over to an influencer? And this influencer says, oh wow, this is awesome, and they use it on TikTok, they use it on one of the next best social media platforms, right? And people see it, and I do this all the time, right? When I'm seeing something on TikTok, I go, what is that? And then I'll try to look it up.
Hmm.
Right now, think about this for a minute. You don't have a lot of money invested, but yet you've got it in the hands of people that see this thing. You may have just sent a couple of bucks over to the influencer, right? They may be on the up and coming, who knows? But the point is that now their people see it and they start looking at it. And now get this, if you had like a landing page or something like that, you guys know, you've heard us talk about this a little bit before, landing page. Now, if they go over to the landing page and then they start snooping around, they start clicking around, and then you go in and see where people were doing what on your landing page. These are very inexpensive things that you can do to determine if you can create some buzz behind this. Just the other day, John, I was running some Facebook ads, and it was an idea. I had an idea for a face mask, right? So the work that I put in, I didn't have a lot of money invested in it because I was using a print on demand kind of spot, right? So the first thing I did was is I built it up, put the logo and all the stuff that I was going to put on it, and then I started running Facebook ads. The Facebook ads went over to a landing page, and I started getting crazy hits over the course of 2 days. I only ran it for 2 days, $40, right? I ended up getting over 200 people coming to the page.
Mm.
Now, That was an awareness campaign. I was seeing if I can get people based on what I put out there on a Facebook ad, can I get them over to the page? And then once on the page, and I had to go through all kind of hoops because it was kind of in a political arena. And at first they denied it. Nope, you can't, we're not letting you run that ad. Right. So you're like, darn it, I got to say different things. Right. I got to try other things. So I ran it again, tried just, making it as plain and bare as possible. Again, to see if I can get people clicking over to the landing page. Because once from the landing page, if you do some retargeting, and we'll get deeper into that kind of stuff at another time, but if I can do some retargeting, then I can follow people around because they're cookie, all these kinds of things that you can determine if you got buzz behind what you are trying to do. I didn't know if it would work. Right. And that's why I didn't print up and put a whole bunch of them in my garage or in my back seat of my car. I said, well, let me see if I can get some sales. Let me see if I can get some interest. And if I can get some sales and interest and I get enough above $40, then I'm on to something. Then I would pour more into it. So I says, okay, cool. This got buzz. So then what I did was I ran it on another traffic source. Now you guys listen to what I'm saying. Traffic source number 1, Facebook ad. Boom. Right? Because that's the immediate thing that you can determine if somebody's going to do whatever on your with regard to your business. So I went to Google. So I ran another ad, and they denied the first one too because it was kind of political. And I thought, okay, how do I say this in a way? So now I'm doing a second test, another $40 test. Mm-hmm. Right? This time $10 a day for 4 days. And this is the key. On there, it'll show you, right? When you're running your ad, it'll show you this is how much it's going to cost per click. Right. And I tried to, put some keywords in there. I just tried to find out whether or not I can excite people enough that they will go over to the site. I know what Facebook did, because again, this is what you're determining. Can I create buzz? Can I make some determinations? Can I see if people do what I'm trying to make them do? And that is come over to the page, look around, right? And then I can, again, do some other things. So I saw that, over 122 people, I started doing the math. If I had, a percentage of those people buy, then I would make up the money. We're talking under $100. That's what you're determining. These are some of the things that you're trying.
Randy, a lot of us as entrepreneurs have tried things like Facebook ads. And I know that I've tried. I'm not someone who is really good at those types of things. And we get frustrated after a day or two. Is there a certain time frame that you need to invest in? I know me, there are some instances where I'll become impatient because I'm not seeing the clicks, and
sure,
after like a day or two, and I pause the whole thing. Do you have any insight on the length of time that we should be putting into it, and how we should do that target?
Absolutely. I'm going to tell you that over the course of a couple of days, you'll find out. That's what the whole big idea behind Facebook and Google ads and YouTube ads and stuff like that is, that if I can attract people, again, do I have something that people are excited enough about to check it out? Boom. Right. So it all depends on your goals. Right. If you start saying to yourself, well, I would like to sell double what I invest in this. Well, guess what? That might not be the right goal to have. First, you got to say to yourself, hey, wait a minute. What am I trying to do here? Am I trying to get some interest? I want to just see if people go over to the ad, because you can now follow up by retargeting and all that kind of stuff with a survey. Hey, what did you think about that? What's the awareness? Did you know that, like you did with that survey that you sent out, right? Now, if you're sending out to people that you've tried to attract to this particular page, and you had a specific goal in mind, now you have some reference points. You say, okay, the goal was to build awareness. The goal was to get them over to see if they would go. Goal successful. To what level? Because once again, if you say based on what the algorithm tells you that we're going to send over this many people, it's going to cost you this much. Did it work? All right, it did. Great. Check. Right now, I said, well, I want to get sales. So do I have the right wording in there that make people go, I got to have that? And that might be what's missing, right? You say to yourself, well, when they went over to the page, it was just bland. Why would they buy it? What is it about what you just said on paper that makes them go, shoot, I gotta have that. This is what I want right now. Did you emotionalize it? In other words, did you write the right kind of copy
Mm,
that gets
mm,
them further into it? So all of these factors, right? You got the actual factor of the traffic source itself. You got the factor of the offer, right? And then you've got the copy. Those are the three things that you're thinking about, and you're saying, wait a minute, none of them worked. They
mm,
didn't work. So over the course of a couple of days, nothing worked. Nobody came. I couldn't even, sell all of the stuff via Facebook. These are data points that are telling you I didn't do the right things. I didn't run it right. I didn't say the right things once they went on the page. When they
mm,
came over to the page, they thought maybe this looks a little fishy, whatever it is. So then you say to yourself, okay, cut that one off. Let's try a different traffic source.
mm,
So Facebook ads traffic source. So then you say, well, let me see if I can do something on Google via keyword research. Anybody and everybody that's looking for socks, what did they say? What kind of keywords are they using? So then you're saying, wait a minute. Now I'm going to find people that are already searching, because we do it backwards oftentimes. We kind of give them what we want to have, and we come up with words that nobody's out there searching for, and that's the wrong thing, right?
mm,
We got to
mm,
find out what categories within the sock area, right, that people are talking about. Funny socks, Christmas socks, style socks, you know what I mean? And then we try to find out whether or not we can bid for that keyword high enough where our stuff shows up, and that becomes the opportunity. All right, you look at Google and says, well, wait a minute, that traffic source worked because it got me what I'm trying to get. What are my checkoffs? That's what you have to determine. Then you say, well, let me try something else over the course of a couple of days. Now, again, you're not spending a lot of money. You're just, turn them on for maybe, $5 a day for 5 days. That's $25. Then you do another one, $5 a day for 5 days. That's another $25. That's $50, right? And I try to tell people, listen, do something that costs you $100. That's a decent investment, but it's not going to break the bank. A couple of good dinners and some wine, and you spend $100. So now, if within that $100 spend, if you made it back, if people bought at the $100 level or anything above it, you might be onto something. All right, and you're testing different traffic sources. That's one of the big things. So now I'm going to Pinterest, because you're asking yourself, this product itself would more than likely be best bought where?
mm,
And that's
mm,
digging into knowing your customer, knowing who you're trying to sell to, et cetera, right? If you're selling to B2B, maybe B2B people aren't in that particular area. They're maybe on LinkedIn or on something else. If you're B2C, business to consumer, you're saying, well, I want to go where they are. Then you say, well, let me see what they're already talking about. You go on Reddit, you find out, what are they talking about? You go on YouTube, you try to type it in, see if you have a whole bunch of categories that show up. You go on Amazon, type in what you have. Your socks are what you call it. There's something before some kind of socks.
well, socks for a cause, for cause.
Well,
Um,
when you were in one of the bigs retail, they says, well, people aren't buying these kind of socks.
Social enterprise type
Mm. And I was thinking
company.
that they are like style socks, because you got
Oh,
regular
not
socks.
novelty.
Novelty.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So now you're looking up novelty, right? Novelty socks. And then you're finding out where people seem to be selling novelty
Hmm,
socks.
hmm,
That might be your traffic source. But these $25 a day tries,
hmm,
small things that you're doing, are getting out there determining whether or not you can excite people in a way where they go, yeah, I like that. And then on the page, hey, this is who we are. This is what separates us. When you buy our socks, you now have the opportunity to, send over money to the cause of your choice. Little things like that, right? So you not only do it good, but you get some great socks. For example, look over here. You got people with their legs up, and they got the socks. They got their hospital gowns on. They got the socks at the bottom. You know what I mean? And you're telling these little stories that get people in there going, this is interesting. Tell your, I love it, man. I tell your story. Oh, I went to the hospital the other day, had a small procedure done, and I had my socks on, brand new, right? And then you show a picture of them, and maybe a little bit of the gown or something like that, because you can go get another gown. But my point is that you're now having fun with it, and he says never show up without your
Mm,
socks,
mm,
without your
mm,
ineffable socks. You know what I mean? Now it's funny. It's one of those things where people are going, I like these guys.
mhm.
They're interesting. I like their rap. I like their enterprise. I like the whole thing that they're doing, and then that maybe is creating buzz, and people are talking about it. News places are picking it up now. Everybody that's in the hospital have these ineffable socks because, well, you got strategic and says, hey, can I just like give this to you guys? If you're going to be in there, you might as well have your great looking socks on, right? Who
Mhm.
wants to have this white stuff on it? Or, Lord forbid, you have nothing on. Here's some ineffable socks if you're getting ready to go in. These are just little things you're trying, because with the ideal is that you're trying to find a proper traffic source depending on who you're selling to, B2C, business to consumer, or business to business. You see what I mean? So these are things that you're doing before you even invest a lot of money in the startup of your business. All things that you're saying, golly, man, people love this stuff. I may have something here. I've been running ads. They have been working. They've been getting me the checkoffs. I was able to do some influencer marketing. People seem to love them. They got a good story. They're getting behind this. Now you may be getting some traction long before you get a huge run of these things. You feel confident because you've built up this groundswell, like I talked about in Getting Buzz, and you now may have something that people are going, I can't wait till I get these ineffable socks. These dudes
Mm.
are on fire, and they want to be a part of it. They see more people doing it, and people don't want to be left out, right? So you're using a little psychology, fear of missing out. I want my socks. Where mine at? Well, we're all out. Get yours in the next run. Pre-order now.
Yep.
All these little things that you're saying, wow, if I can get people to pre-order, I don't have to spend a dime.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I can get the money up front, right? Well, that's using the Dell model. Dell says, we don't build nothing until we get the money. There is no computer being built until we got some cash, right? And you're going, oh my gosh, yes. This is what you could be doing before you start your business to see if it would work. And then you pour in your money and your time.
Very good, very good. So, along with that, let's say that the business owner is very successful. They get their message out there. They have overwhelming support, people wanting their product. How do they fulfill it?
Ooh, that's the proverbial, and I apologize for using that big word. Not feeling well and using big words just don't go well together. But that's the scale problem, right?
Mhm.
Now, in certain cases, it's a good problem to have. I got people that love my stuff, but now I can't fulfill. Well, that allows for competition to look in and go, they can't fulfill, but we can. You know what I mean? Thank you for building the market for us. So you always are trying to determine whether or not if you got a whole bunch of orders, can I fulfill them? Now, this is stuff that you can do long before you start the business. You say to yourself, wait a minute, if I got, 1,000 orders, who would I call? Who would be my sources? This is who I'm using now. And I notice that their shipping time or their lead time is this. But I also know if I spend a little bit more money, I can get them over here. So you may have 4 or 5 different people that could fulfill for you,
Mhm.
right? And if let's say if it's a t-shirt printing business, and you said, well, who do I know I could hire to help me? Right? Not having employees yourself. Who do I know that I can quickly ramp up to fulfill the orders that I anticipate? You go on you get a news organization that does a story on you. Boom, you get a huge ramp up, right? And that's why I love the print on demand model, because I don't have to sit there and try to sift through thousands of stuff in my basement. You know what I mean? Because that increases your cost of goods. So anyway, let's digging into it a little bit. But you have the opportunity that the more orders you get, the more they are able to ship, but they can meet that. Now that might cost you a little bit more money, but you didn't have to invest a whole bunch of cash into it before you determine if you have something, right? You get these orders, you do the influencer marketing, it blows up. Now you're saying, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. But not if you've in your mind before you started thinking about what would I do if. These are just scenarios. What would I do if I got 50, 60, 100, 1,000, and you just kind of map it out. You have your plan, right? Not a straight business plan, but you just have a what I call the what if factor, right? Now, I love the digital space, and I try to do as much as I possibly can in the digital space simply because guess what? No additional marginal cost. We're digging into it now. This is what this is. If all of the things I learned in college, I remember that one, right? No additional marginal cost businesses, right? And it's the thing that stopped me from printing up books. Now I put them on Amazon. I put a PDF out there. I say you can get it, and as many people that want it can download it because I already created it once, and I do not have any additional cost like printing, right? Now you may have something. That's information for you. That's information for your business. You're determining what kind of business should I go into long before you do it. If I got a ramped up order, am I going to break my head trying to fulfill it? Or can I do it once and deliver it digitally forever? That's a consideration that you should be thinking about before you start your business.
No, that's very good. Very, very good. So we've talked about going online and doing the marketing via Facebook and Google and Instagram. We talked about, well, what do I do if I have overwhelming um, you know interest in
Mm-hmm.
my product that I'm trying to do? How to, what should I be prepared for? Now, what if I'm not um, a, a Facebook, a Google, an Instagram person, and I need to sell. I'm not moving anything. What do I hang door hangers? I mean, is that out? Do I posters on telephone poles? What what are your suggestions around that? The digital space, is that the only space that I should be focusing on my marketing and advertising?
I tell you, John, I used to love this question when we had a lot of people that had businesses that they were starting out, whether it was a food truck or whatever it is, and people were still in church. And I thought, if you want them to eat your food after church, then put a note on the car
Mm-hmm.
right where it is. And I thought it was such a gold mine. They're already parked, they're already sitting. Right now, this was pre-COVID, but it's already sitting. In that particular case, that's a little old school marketing, right? You now say, wait a minute, I'm able to print up for very cheap amounts of money these these buy now kind of scenarios where, hey, church is out, I'm hungry, where do I go? Boom, you go right here. So that's a case where you wouldn't be doing necessarily doing Facebook marketing, right? And that's depending on who you're selling to. You've done all this work to find out who your customer is. You've done demographics, you've done psychographics, you've done all these different things that sound all super fancy, right? But ultimately, you've gotten to know your customer, and you know where they are, and you know what they like to do. You kind of know their habits, right? You've built your avatar, as you've heard people talk about. But when you get to know your customer so well that you can say, and I know where they park their cars,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a feeling that even though 50% of them might throw it away, if I get 17 customers from that, then that campaign pays for itself and brings me in a brand new customer. So now you've acquired a new customer for cheap money. So that's a consideration, right? You're saying, okay, when I talk about traffic sources, that's what I'm talking about. Well, it might be in certain cases because traffic seems to be backed up on one street all the time. You have a captive audience. So you
Mm.
might say, well, it might make sense to put up a billboard that costs $2,500
Mm-hmm.
in a nice number where people are going, I'm stuck in line and all I can see is this billboard. And that might work. But to determine that, you are specifically saying, I tried this, saw my results. I tried this, saw my results. And you start getting these data points. If you notice that your business seems to uptick after you have put a billboard up on a particular street, then you really can go, what is my, and this is a little term, guys, ROAS, return on ad spend. So
Mm,
I spent $3,000, and all I noticed for a month that thing was there, I ended up getting this amount of traffic that's different than what I got before. Whether you send them to a website or whether you it's a come into your store kind of a thing. Now you can determine whether or not your billboard worked, and you can look at what is your return on your ad spend, and you can just see and say, okay, well that worked out pretty good. Now maybe next month you say, well, I'm gonna try some of the hot and fancy stuff, right? I'm gonna go on TikTok and I'm gonna, all right, well, let's try it. What's your return on your ad spend there? You might find out, wait a minute, my stuff is working way better in old school marketing tactics.
mm, mm,
The door hangers
mm,
working way better because people, take them, they look at them, and if it's something that pops and gets their attention, right, you get buzz from that. You can determine if that worked because let's say for the month of October, that's all you did, and that's why I tell people don't do them all at the same time. You just focus on one, so you can kind of determine all in for a month just in this way. Did it work? Oh, it didn't. Stop. Door hangers. Did it work? Oh, it did. Great. Pour the gas on it. You know what I mean? That might be the thing that helps you determine whether or not I got awareness, I got interest, I got sales. So you're asking yourself, if you notice when you run a ad, they'll ask you, um, this is an awareness campaign. What kind of campaign is it? This is
mm.
I want to go over to get clicks, right? I want to go have people go over to the website. And this is what I do when I'm running ads. I'm doing every single one of those.
Mm, mm,
And that's something I learned, because I didn't know what I was doing. I was, and I can't say that I'm a pro or anything like that. I literally still have to look at some instructions before I go run it, just to make sure I, check off this box, take this off, you know what I mean? And kind of get my mind around it. But then that's the opportunity. He says, I want awareness. I want this one, this one, this one, this one. And you can run multiple ads based on those different factors. And
mm,
because of that, they put your information in front of potential prospects differently. So you're saying, oh, shoot. And then you're seeing which one works. And if you see which one works, then you go pour the gas to that one, right? There's a little smoldering fire. So you just pour some gas on it. And then it's all going over to the website. It's all going over to awareness. But that is a great opportunity for you to try different things, whether it's old school marketing or new school marketing, and see for your business, based on what you know about your customers, which one works the best.
mm,
You find it, you pour the gas to it.
mm. Very good. Very good. You had put a quote in the notes, and I really like this quote. I think it's really good, and it's from Henry John Hines, and it says, to do a common thing uncommonly
Mm,
well brings success." Can you talk
yeah,
about what Henry John Hines
yeah,
meant
yeah.
by that?
And he really was talking about you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Mm,
He says you can take something that somebody's already doing and you do it uncommonly well, right? So because oftentimes the mind doesn't like new stuff. It sees something new, it's go, hey, wait a minute, is this friend or foe? But all I know is I'm about to flight. I'm about to run because it's brand new. So you may have something that you've put in front of folks that is so new to the market, they can't understand what it's like. If you notice the movie, sometimes they'll say, well, this is Die Hard meets so and so, Beauty and the Beast. And you go, oh, I know Die Hard. Oh, I know Beauty and the Beast. Well, this is what this movie's about. So what they're doing is trying to anchor you to something
mm, mm,
with something that they just started. But what Heinz was talking about, he says, listen, don't try to recreate the wheel. You may be able to do something very, very well in an area that's already being done. What are those areas? Your job is to now go find those areas and then say, hey, can I do this uncommonly well? Can I bring something to this that's unlike what people are seeing right now? Right? And when we hear that term, there's nothing new under the sun. Well, if you really dig into stuff, you'll start going, wait a minute, this is kind of like this. Isn't
mm,
it kind of
mm,
like this? There's some familiarity there, but because of that familiarity, you feel comfortable with it. And your clients might go, yeah, that's kind of like this, but I've never seen it done this way. Right. And you go, yeah, I'm thinking about podcasts, what we're doing right now. Right. And we start thinking about the Lewis Stevensons back in the, they used to do this stuff back in the day. Right. Some guy come on, some young lady comes on. She's, got this old school mic. Right. And every Sunday they talk to you. Right. They do the Paul Harvey thing. It's the same concept. It's just that now we got a great name on it, right? It seems to be hot and people are going crazy. And this is, oh my, I got to get a podcast, right? But it's not new. It's just being done differently and people are doing it in an uncommonly well way. I'll give you an example of another one. It was something that I was watching the other day. Oh, so the podcasts themselves, we're seeing a lot of companies that are taking podcasts and turning them into actual shows. And it's like, oh yeah, they built up a following. You see what they just did? They may have started something. They've got millions of people listening, millions of people downloading, and then somebody comes along and says, "Hey, would you be interested in turning this into some kind of show?" Right? They're just saying we don't have to reinvent the wheel. You already have built up a groundswell of folks, right? You got millions of people listening. All we're going to do is now turn it into some kind of program, put it on Netflix or whatever, right? HBO Max or whatever. And I've been noticing that people are doing something. These they call it these scripted shows, right? And I'm thinking that's not new. That's old school. They've taken a podcast and they said, well, we're going to do a scripted one. So, you and I, we have our script and then we come on and we got characters. Well, you think, wait a minute, that was like what they were doing before TV, right? Scripted radio programs. And it's like, oh man, this is interesting. Like, what was that podcast you told me to go look at?
The
Um,
Business Wars.
yeah, Business Wars, right? So when I went over there and I was like, wait a minute, these guys are literally doing scripted. They're talking about things, right, and just kind of doing what they call a contrast. And I was like, this is pretty interesting. And I'm just noticing more companies are coming in saying, hey, you got something that you do scripted, and we'd like to turn it into a show. You already got characters,
Mm-hmm.
you got people are familiar with them. Let's just transition them. So you're not doing anything new, but you're doing it uncommonly well. That's what he meant by that.
Yeah. Oh man, that is fantastic. That
So what
I
can you do in your business? So everybody that's
yeah.
listening, look at your business. All right. And this is something, John, we talk about this all the time. All right. We had one of the podcasts that we did, and we says, what business are you really in?
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're looking your business up and down and saying, okay, well, I sell widgets. Well, no, not just widgets. What is the outcome of that? What do people feel as a result of having your widgets? Well, you might be selling the fact that nobody does them as fast as you. So you're really selling speed. And I never forget when I heard there's this term that says when somebody sees a drill, they're not thinking about the drill. They're thinking about what the drill can do. More
Mm-hmm.
power, and they go, that means it's going to screw faster. They're thinking about screwing things in.
Do you remember the old truck commercials where they would have the trucks pulling all types of stuff going over
Yes,
rocky terrains, and
yes,
this is built so and so tough.
tough, yes.
Yeah, and
Dropping what they would drop, like, junk in the truck and
yep.
boom. And I was like, ooh, that's effective.
Mm-hmm.
They're seeing why you should buy that because we're Ford tough. We are built, Ram tough or whatever it is. Your business has the opportunity to do the same thing. If we know, what business we're in, and we can say to ourselves, how can I take what I'm doing and make it so uncommonly well that people go, God dog it, man, I got to go over there. I don't want to go anywhere but there because of
Mm-hmm.
what you've done. And if you scratch beneath the surface, you're not doing anything new. You're just doing it
Mm-hmm.
uncommonly well. That's good stuff, man.
That is fantastic stuff. So we we talked about the marketing aspect. We talked about, hey, how do we differentiate the benefits or features that we're doing? How do we do things uncommonly well?
Mhm.
What How do I know if my product is timely? Let's say that fidget spinners, obviously, there's a window
Right.
of opportunity there. How do I know if I'm missing the boat, if I'm getting in on the tail end of that, or if this is actually still the beginning and this product is ramping up? How do I know? Um,
Yeah.
if I,
Trends.
yeah, how do I know if I'm in the trend or if the trend is going to die soon?
That's interesting. That's like the $1 million question, right? Why did Blockbuster not see digital was happening? Why did Kodak had created digitalization long time ago, but it was just a patent that was over here, and they were saying, look, we sell process, we sell paper, that's what we do. So when you start thinking about these trends, you have to have, and I like to call this the red team, blue team kind of a thing, right?
Mm,
And I want
mm,
somebody that all they do is go out there and they find who's trying to steal our market share. That's their whole job, right? And when you talk about the red team, blue team, I think that's an army term or a military term, right? They have the red team and their whole job is defense, and the blue team is all offense, right? That's all you're trying to do. And but they what you have an opportunity to do is see where your weaknesses are in your organization. But now if you're applying that concept to always finding out what's trending, that means you're going to have your pulse on these influencers and find out what they're doing. You're going to have however you do it, whether you have salespeople that are out there telling you, hey, I saw this new thing come in the marketplace. Because your salespeople, they're out there selling. So they see stuff, right? And they know if the whatever they're trying to sell is working or not. And they may be able to come back to you and says, I've been hearing about this digital stuff that you don't need paper. I guarantee you some salesperson came and says, we got to get out of this business. Guarantee you somebody did that, right? Are you looking at white papers? This is kind of digging into it, y'all. But are you looking at what's on the horizon and asking yourself, could that thing ramp up well? I was giving an example. I was looking at I follow Peter Diamantes on and Peter Diamantes is a super smart guy. He started Abundance 360. He started the X Prize. He started just a Singularity University. And I mean, he gets into my feed, and they'll be talking about the concept he calls exponential growth or exponential businesses, right? And these are businesses that are just, on the cusp of something super great, maybe a little early, but you're watching that stuff.
mm, mm.
You're checking these white papers that are coming out and talking about some new process. You're looking at these PhDs that are rocking out these new ideas, and you're saying, "Wow, is there something we can do here?" Right? Because you want to be on the cutting edge, or you have somebody that does that for you. You may say, well, look, I sell. That's my job, and I'm into marketing. Well, you got a team out there that's just doing that, that brings you back the information relative to your marketplace. So if you now have that information, you can say, okay, how can we introduce this new idea, test it, see if it
Mm,
gets a little
mm,
traction, even if it's brand new, or how can we take what they're doing and make it like it's, hey, this is not new. This is just something else we're doing for the benefit of you. Think about what Amazon does. That's what they're always trying something. Now I think they're in the pharmacy business. So you're going, dang it, man, they can't just help themselves from trying to save me money. But that all started with Bezos saying, look, I'm not trying to give you shareholder value. I'm not trying, we may make no money. You know what I mean? And then the stock just keeps growing and people have gotten rich and all that kind of stuff because he said our goal is to be customer service oriented, period. How can whatever we do benefit our customers? How can it make them want to go, golly, I'll fight for Amazon? And I'm like that. Like, look, don't talk about Amazon now. I haven't seen nobody else that has been able to compete with them on any level. And that's because they're always trying. And I guarantee you, he has somebody that's out there always taking a look at what's new, what's next. How can it be of value to the customer base we have? And can we introduce it into our company in a reasonably priced way, right? Sometimes they partner and then they buy. Sometimes they go and absorb a whole company and then they get the engineering behind it. All these little things. Now, you starting off, guys out there and young ladies out there, you starting off, you may not have that, right? But you can do it on some small level. You got a team of folks out there that's constantly looking for stuff for you, right? And you can say, hey, look, I can $50 to the best idea that somebody comes up that is uh, that might compete with my business,
Mm,
or
mm,
some kind of gifting, right? That you can say to people. So now, what is their job? They're always out there looking for stuff that could affect your business, and it didn't cost you a lot of money, right? But you want to know that because if you are on the wrong end of it, it's old, right? Fidget spinners were in, and now they're gone,
mm.
right? But if somebody saw them coming, somebody says this might be hot because all I know is my nephew, can't stop playing with this darn thing. So you go, that might be something. Can we bring it in? Can we try it? You try it, you make a lot of money on it, right? Face masks. Remember face masks when they first came out? I was telling people, hey, come up with style masks. And they were like, ah. I said, okay. And I says, go to big companies, go to the Michigans, go to the Michigan states. I says, and try to put whatever you do, and you say, hey, look, we'll build these with your symbol on them. And they were like, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't do that kind of business, right? And then next thing you know, everybody's coming out with styled masks. They got logos on stuff. These are the little things that if you have somebody out there that is about that
Mhm.
always is trying to figure stuff out, seeing something new, then maybe incentivize them to bring that information to you, right? Somebody could have gave me some money for that, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, I didn't. I just like to give stuff away. Here's another one. You remember with a 6 foot? Hey, you're within 6 foot, you got to be
Mm.
step here. I says, what would happen if? Because we were seeing crazy stuff, it was just like X's on the floor, and I was like, boy, what a missed opportunity to do some marketing, right? You just put, whatever it is your business is and a little www dot whatever. They're a captive audience. They're stepping on, they're looking at it going, huh, right? So I go into the post office the other day and I hadn't seen a lot of it. Even still, I go into the post office and what do they have? US Post Office, .com or .org or whatever they are, right? And I thought, see what I mean? It is just another opportunity to do some marketing, like you did with the socks, right? Getting the procedure, putting on the thing, bringing your card. That's the kind of stuff that we're constantly trying to do in our businesses so that we can create the buzz, right? So that we can market in unusual ways, so that we can bring in things that aren't terribly unusual and make them better because of your marketing, perhaps.
So let's say that I did have a fantastic idea, but I didn't necessarily have the capital for it. For example, I remember like 15, 20 years ago on public radio, they were talking about synthetic blood, not needing blood banks anymore because
Mm-hmm.
someone was trying to come up, inventing a blood product that didn't come from humans that they would be able to use. And let's say I have an idea like that, something that is revolutionary, groundbreaking, whatever. How do I get others interested in what I'm doing to want to contribute to that, to want
Wow.
to do,
Yeah.
a Kickstarter, or want to be an investor, or someone that wants to do research, more research and development? How do I get people that want to be a part of that?
Let me just talk about one way. Do pitch contests.
Mm, mm-hmm,
This is what I tell people. I says, listen, I says, in fact, I was doing some coaching over the weekend. I was doing some pitch coaching over the weekend. And I says, think about this, whether you win or not. I says, I want you to present your stuff in such a way. I mean, because sometimes you don't know what people are looking for, the judges are looking for. I said, but I want people in the audience looking at your product and going, I need that.
mm,
Right. So let's see if I got this right. You just show up, you pitch it, you just got an idea, it's a concept, you pitch it, and somebody in the audience is going, huh, I could use that. And they seem to kind of have their stuff together. That could be you. You can have stuff together. You got the ideas. You got the provisional patents, whatever it is, right? Like what you see on Shark Tank. Somebody sometimes will invest even if it ain't ready because they go, that's going to work. Couldn't you do the same thing, even as a startup, right? We are out there pitching our idea, our concept, and seeing if we can get some money, seeing if we can get somebody to go, hey, because I'm doing this, I do this all the time. I look for that business. I call it the investable business. Is what you're presenting investable? Where somebody goes, all I'm trying to do is make a return on my dollars above what's out there right now. Can your company do that for me? And, you know, and then if you pitch it in a way, somebody might come in and go, I got 10 G's. How long will it take you to get this off the ground? That's how you got money. And all you did was go out and pitch.
Yep.
You use the pitching platform as a marketing opportunity. That's the key, right? And how many pitch contests can you present yourself to? As many as you want. And you're getting better. And you're getting in front of potential investors. This is because investors go to these pitch contests, right? They're looking for this stuff. What if you started a blog around your idea and you started presenting stuff in such an interesting way without giving it away? Pieces and parts and things you're thinking about, and stuff that you came up with related to that item, that product, that service. And people go, golly, when are you going to start this thing? And if you get enough people that say that, now you have something, and you didn't do anything but start writing. I'll give you an example. I have a young lady that I'm doing some coaching with. And I says, why don't you start this, what you have? Because it's going to take a big investment of what she has. I said, but start talking about it. You're a scientist. Start talking about your stuff now in a blog fashion that costs you $0. You can start a blog on Wix, a free blog on Wix, or a free blog on WordPress, and just start talking about it. Start coming up with pictures and all these different things, right? And you now are applying your experience, you're applying your expertise to something like that, right? You're just talking about it. And if you get enough people that see it, get interested in it, you might start, getting investors. Here's another approach. What if you had your idea and you start talking about it? And I saw a guy do this with a company called, I want to say it's Invisible. It was something. And he was in the contract labor space. But this guy would go on Medium and write these long articles, around the whole, contract labor, like the people per hours or the, Upworks and stuff like that. His was a little different kind of company, but it's the same concept. But he was doing these really interesting articles. It was a little bit too deep for me. I was like, man, I don't want to read it. Just rock out the company. But he went so deep into it. And then what he would do is on Medium, if you have where you can get money, they give you claps, right? Hey, oh, that was a great article. They give you claps. And if you get enough claps, you get money for that. Because Medium says, hey, look, we just want great articles that people are reading. In other words, they come on a platform, we can sell them ads, blah, blah, blah. So you're potentially, just by rocking out and talking about your idea, getting claps and getting money. That's seed money. That's opportunity money, right? Another one I tell people, I got a program right now called Work to Own. The Work to Own program. The Work to Own program is pretty simple, right? It says you're going to go to a job and then you're going to leverage the money you get at the job to start the business, right? And then I show people how, right? What matters, go buy the car, you go do this with the income, right? You don't go get an office, you work it out of your house. All these little tips and tricks that now you leverage the job to start the business, whatever business that is, right? So think about it. That now has become the funding source. We no longer look at the job for what we think it is. We look at it as a funding source. I had a buddy of mine, this was years ago, who was paying just a goo-gob amount of child support. Oh my gosh, it was disgusting, the amount of child support. Now, of course he had the babies, but he had 2 kids. And just I don't know, this guy was getting maybe 30, 40, $80 a week. Crazy amount, couldn't live. But he kept at it. Same company kept at it. Because on the back end is that he was building up his retirement fund. So the job then became a different leverage point. And because he stuck it out, making it the best way he can, trying to, have his own apartment, and all. It was just a bad deal. But now, after 30 some odd years, he's got a pile of dough in the company that he didn't have to pay out in child support, right? Because they use your gross pay, blah blah blah. And I mean, so now he built up this huge amount of money because he stuck it out.
Mm.
He leveraged the company in a whole different way. So that could be the same concept that as you're thinking about your business and you're saying, how can I fund this? So what would be wrong with going and getting some, going and utilizing, I like to say, pimp your temp, right? Pimp your ride. Remember, they had pimp your ride, it'll make your ride better, not the bad pimping, but making your ride better. Your car comes in looking this way and then they pimp it out. And then it's like, oh my God, this is awesome. Well, I says, well, why don't you do the same thing with a temp service? You want income. Doesn't matter where you go, right? But because you're going to different places, you now have a chance to talk to different people that might become investors in your stuff.
Mm.
You're not just at one job and they're going, oh, that's just Randy talking. We're tired of him. He's been here 15 years. You have a chance to go to different areas, different spots, different companies, because the temp service is wanting to send you wherever there's a need.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying, this is awesome. I get to talk to brand new people, learn brand new processes, and really use the money to start the business.
Mm.
This is one of the things I talk about in the Work to Own program, right? And then everything is a leverage point. So that's funding sources. So now we got contest. You're always pitching.
Mm-hmm.
You're always pitching. You're getting better. You're figuring it out. You're learning how to public speak. All these different things that you're now using as leverage points. And get this, you might win. Right? I remember reading about a lady who made a business out of, she was pitching all the time. And she ended up winning like $100,000. It was some crazy amount, 10 here, 5 here. She got so good at knowing how to pitch, she started teaching it, creating courses. Now that's all she was doing is pitching, telling people how to pitch and all of that stuff. And because she had won so much money, she started teaching this stuff and just made a goo gob of money. Leverage points, leverage opportunities, unusual ways to get funding, right? You can't always just ask your friends. So that becomes some of the opportunities you can use to fund your business.
And it may not even be actual capital. It could be intellectual capital that you're gaining.
Connection capital,
Mm-hmm.
right? Connection is the new. I had this term that I was writing this the other day. I said I'm gonna write a book about this, about the currency of connection, right? And it will be a bigger book. What is that connection worth?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I says, look, don't give me your Rolodex. Don't give me cash. Open up your Rolodex to me. Introduce me to somebody that could fund me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You may have someone within your Rolodex that you go, these guys are always trying to find the new thing, right? Something interesting that they can just get a return on their money. Opening up your Rolodex is important, and that becomes a leverageable opportunity. There was a guy in I think Silicon Valley. I can't think of his name, but that's what, if somebody had a good idea, they would send them over to that guy. I need you to go talk to so-and-so. Right? They go over there and talk to him. The guy would look at the idea and he would look at his Rolodex and he would say, call this person.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff. That's connection capital. That is, intellectual capital. Can somebody tell you how to run Facebook ads when you don't know how?
Right.
And you say, hey, listen, if we make money above what my costs are, you can have some of that. So you incentivize them to do things in a whole different way, right? Mm-hmm. Think about the early days of even Facebook. There was I think I read about an artist who did the mural or something, and they paid him in stock.
Mm-hmm.
Now he was a heavyweight, but I'm hopefully I'm not getting this wrong, but they paid him in stock. You might be able to look that up, and that stock became worth just incredible amounts. They didn't have capital to start off, but they had other things that they could trade for what you have. Isn't it how Peter, what is his name? Peter, the guy that told Mark Zuckerberg to drop the from Facebook. Oh, what was his name? Well, in the movie they talk about him, right? In the movie they talk about how he says, "No, don't call it Facebook, don't call it the Facebook, call it Facebook." Well, for that
Mm,
expertise, they paid him some stock. I think it was Peter something. I can't think of his last name. But anyway, that was what they were able to do, and he got paid for his intellectual capital, for his knowing how to say things in a way that would get a certain kind of excitement.
mhm,
That becomes so valuable, right? And what can you trade? So you're thinking about this. You're trying to. I used to do this. I had an office that I was paid. I was given the office for free for my intellectual capital. So every month I'd sit down with the executive director and I would look over a new campaign that she was getting ready to send out or whatever it was. And then I would help her with the wording because that seems, that was a part of my expertise, right? It's like, okay, I can, from a copywriter standpoint, we say it like this. We say this word instead of that word. We get rid of this one. You know what I mean? And we add emotional elements, right? And then we send the campaign out. And for that, every single month, and it would be different things, I got a free office. That's trading intellectual capital, and now you don't have to come out of money. That's super duper stuff.
absolutely. I've had ownership in companies because of that as well. People, hey, I'm going to give you 10% of my company if you could help me with this or that. A handful of companies that I've actually gained ownership in over the years for that reason.
Exactly. I got a friend, man, in Minnesota who is a superstar business development guy.
Hmm.
He just has, this way about him that he can take it, look at your idea, and kind of go, "Oh, we need to go talk to these 5 people." Right. And he runs up on companies like this all the time. He says, "Look, for me being able to connect you with this and this, and that, give me a percentage of the company."
Hmm.
Some copywriters were doing this because they said, "Look, what I'm getting ready to write for you is going to make you money.
Yep.
So I want a percentage of the company or whatever it is, right? I want money to come to me in perpetuity or whatever. As long as we're running this ad and it's making you money, I want X amount of percentages."
Hmm.
And that becomes better than getting a check.
Right.
So
Right.
we ask yourself, what are you developing? Your business may help you develop a skill. Now, can you leverage that skill in another way to get money for your company?
Hmm.
Me learning how to do Facebook ads, I can go sell that now. You know what I mean? And I had to do it for my own business, right? Me understanding the digital part and not having a additional marginal cost. I can go sell that information, right? When I'm doing a podcast, somebody might go, "Yeah, what am I doing over here?" Right? These are kind of things that become leverageable moments. It becomes intellectual capital that you can trade in if you have the ability to do it.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. This has been a wonderful podcast today, Randy. I'm so glad we broke this up into two segments
I am
because
too.
it really needed the time that we could take to unfold, all of these very useful tricks, tactics, and advice that you had provided us today. So I appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
Yes, yes. Hey, guys, if you heard and you like it, smash the subscribe button, send it out to other folks, become a member, a part of what we're doing, get our books and stuff. We've written some stuff. We got some free stuff we're going to be rolling out to you guys too. We just want you using this and we want you being able to run a better business or take a business that's running really, really well and leverage even more from what you're hearing. If you want, of course, John and I to come in and look at it, it'll cost you a couple of bucks, but it'll be definitely worth it. And we'll give you information where you can bring us in to take a look at your business if you want to. But thanks again, John. I
Absolutely.
appreciate you, man, today.
No, thank you, Randy. Very much appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. You guys take care. We will see you next week.